There is a 14-day window standing between your family and an empty shelf. Not a conspiracy, not a theory. Mathematics, cold, verifiable supply chain mathematics. And the number that should stop you dead in your tracks is this: 14 days. That is the average real inventory that a major retail network holds today for essential items. 14 days. If the truck does not arrive for 2 weeks, the shelf becomes an empty museum exhibit. And June 1st is when the trucks start having problems. There is something else you need to know before we go any further. The corporations running this system have known about this fragility for decades. They built it deliberately. A system with zero buffer, zero redundancy, and zero margin for error generates maximum profit in calm weather and maximum chaos when the storm hits. They have never sent you an email explaining this, not once. Your grocery chain has never posted a sign. Your government has never issued a public briefing, because the moment they do, the panic they create becomes the collapse they were trying to avoid, so the warning never comes, until now. Welcome to Bullet Survival. This is where we open what they buried. And today, we are opening something heavy. I am going to hand you the Supply Chain Blacklist, 10 items that are vanishing from shelves or doubling in price by June 1st. You have 45 days to position yourself. Not 46. 45. Stay with me. The vault is just getting started. Before we get to the list, you need to understand the architecture of the trap you are living inside. The modern retail system operates on a philosophy called just-in-time inventory. The logic sounds elegant. Instead of warehousing products that cost money to store, you order precisely what you need, exactly when you need it. No waste, no excess, pure efficiency. What the textbooks do not tell you, what the supply chain executives understood from the moment they implemented this, is that efficiency and resilience are opposites. You cannot have both. When you eliminate the buffer, you eliminate the safety net. And the entire global food and goods network today has a safety net measured in days, not months. The Drewry World Container Index, which tracks the cost of shipping a standard container across major global routes, has risen 12% in the last 60 days alone. That number is not absorbed by the corporations. It never is. It moves with mathematical certainty to the price tag you will read in June, and June is not an arbitrary date. It is the beginning of the Atlantic hurricane season, the transition point between Southern Hemisphere harvest contracts and Northern Hemisphere demand cycles, and the moment when major logistics companies begin their new fiscal agreements. It is the month when the cards start to fall. The Romans understood something about fragility that we forgot. In 312 BC, when the Roman Empire began constructing its legendary aqueduct system, they did not build one pipe. They built redundant channels, backup reservoirs, and overflow systems that ensured water reached the city even when one route failed. For a civilization separated from us by more than 2,000 years, they grasped a principle that the most sophisticated supply chain architects of the 21st century deliberately abandoned. Redundancy is not waste. Redundancy is survival. What cannot generate quarterly profit gets engineered out of the system. And that is precisely what happened to your food security. So why does the average American household carry only 3 days of functional food supply at any given moment? Why does every major grocery chain operate on 14-day inventory windows for essentials? The answer is the same answer it always is. You cannot generate recurring revenue from a pantry that is already full. A household with a 6-month food reserve buys differently, shops differently, and cannot be panic sold to. That is a customer the industry cannot control. So the infrastructure that would make your pantry robust was never built, never promoted, and never taught. Now, the list. Item 1. Coffee and cocoa. Studies from the International Cocoa Organization confirm a 20% crop failure across Vietnam and Ivory Coast, two of the largest producing regions on the planet, driven by extreme weather events in 2025 and 2026. Global reserves are sitting at their lowest point in 30 years. The major roasters and chocolate manufacturers have already moved. They purchased forward contracts on everything available. What remains on the open market is either low-grade supply or premium-priced scarcity. By June, the coffee you pay $4 for today will carry a sticker that makes you put it back on the shelf. The FAO has documented this trajectory. The industry knows. Your grocery store knows. You are the last to find out. Item 2. Olive oil. Spain and Greece, which together produce more than 60% of global olive oil supply, are entering their third consecutive year of severe drought. European retail chains have already begun locking bottles behind security cases in certain markets because the theft rate on olive oil has surpassed the theft rate on alcohol. Read that again. People are stealing olive oil. The EU Agriculture Report for Q1 of 2026 confirms that transitional stocks are effectively depleted. What is on the shelf right now is the last of a previous production cycle. When summer consumption peaks and no new harvest arrives to replace it, the price movement will not be gradual. It will be vertical. Item 3. Generic medications. This is the rupture no one is talking about. The active pharmaceutical ingredients for the most commonly prescribed generic medications, blood pressure drugs, basic antibiotics, diabetes management, are manufactured primarily in India and China and are currently experiencing transit delays of 45 days or more due to maritime route disruptions. Retail pharmacies operate on minimum inventory models. They do not warehouse. They reorder when the shelf empties. At 45-day lead times, the math produces gaps. Consult a medical professional before making any changes to your medication routine. But understand that waiting until the gap appears to ask your doctor is the wrong sequence of events. Item 4. Long grain rice. India, the world's largest rice exporter, has maintained its export restrictions into 2026 to protect domestic food security and control internal inflation. Reuters has confirmed the continuation of these policies. What this means in practical terms is that the global pool of available long-grain rice is structurally smaller than demand. Importing nations are competing for a reduced supply. The price pressure moves downstream, and it moves to your grocery aisle. The per-pound cost you are paying today is a discount relative to what June's rebalancing will produce. Item 5. Paper products. This is the déjà vu no one wants to acknowledge. In 2020, the supply disruption was panic-driven. In 2026, the mechanism is different, but the outcome rhymes. Paper and cellulose products are high-volume, low-margin goods. When freight costs rise, and they have risen 12% in 60 days, the logistics calculus changes. Container space gets allocated to electronics, pharmaceuticals, and high-margin consumer goods. Paper waits. And when paper waits 45 to 60 days in transit, the retail buffer empties before the replacement arrives. Items 6 through 10. Fertilizers, premium pet food, canned protein, budget tires, and water filtration components follow the same structural logic. Each sits at the intersection of elevated freight costs, concentrated manufacturing geography, and retail inventory models with no meaningful safety margin. A 15% reduction in European ammonia production, confirmed by the International Energy Agency, translates directly into higher fertilizer prices, which translate into higher food prices, which translate into tighter household budgets, which translate into a family that is not prepared for the next disruption on this list. The chain is unbroken, and it runs directly from an energy decision made in Germany to the price of canned beans in your local store. Here is where the numbers become genuinely uncomfortable. The worst-case scenario is not famine. It is not societal collapse. It is something far more insidious. It is the quiet inflation of rupture. You walk into the store. The item is there, but the price is offensive, or the item is temporarily out of stock for 3 weeks. And in those 3 weeks, your routine fractures, your budget absorbs costs you did not plan for, and you pay what a supply chain analyst would call the negligence tax. The tax on not knowing, the tax on trusting a system that was never designed to protect you. You are watching this in April. That is the advantage. 90% of the people who will feel June's disruption have not received this briefing and will not receive it until the shelf is already empty. The window you have right now is real, and it is measured in days. The strategy is not complicated, and it does not require significant capital. The rule is 1 extra item per category per shopping trip until June 1st, 1 extra can of protein, 1 extra bag of rice, 1 extra bottle of olive oil today at today's price before the price correction arrives. Rotate your stock. What goes in new goes to the back. What is oldest comes to the front. This is not prepping in the Hollywood sense. This is how every grandmother in every functional household on Earth managed her pantry before the just-in-time system told her she was being irrational. Evidence suggests that households with as little as 30 days of food reserves experience measurably less financial stress during supply disruptions than households operating on the standard 3-day model. The data is not complicated. The intervention is not complicated. The only complicated part is doing it before you need it, rather than after. The modern economy is a house of cards built on truck wheels and container ships. Your dinner depends on the height of the waves in the Suez Canal and the fuel cost of a driver you have never met. That dependency was not an accident. It was engineered, maintained, and protected because it generates profit. Not for you, but for the system that replaced your grandmother's pantry with a 14-day inventory window and called it progress. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it before June 1st. Every person who finds this information is one less customer for a system that profits from their unpreparedness. Every share preserves what the industry invested billions to make invisible. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside is even heavier, because we are not done asking who built this trap, and we are certainly not done asking why.